Collective. Thank you for being here. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. All must have a price. I feel I'm talking to somebody who got to realize pleasing everyone doesn't work. You only owe it to yourself to please yourself. Doing the right thing is okay, but then more than anything, don't sacrifice yourself. Do not neglect yourself in the process. Pleasing everyone doesn't work. All must have a price. I'm talking to somebody who may have got to learn that the hard way. You may have had to learn that the hard way. Yeah, right now you are busy painting the roses red, covering up errors. I feel you are hardworking, rebuilding yourself, doing it on your own. Yeah, it may have not been easy, but then I feel along the way you got to realize that now I have to rebuild myself. It's either I work on myself or leave everything else. Yeah, I feel whoever I'm talking to, you're somebody who avoids repeating situations. Yeah, right now you're more like very much avoiding to repeat whatever situation that doesn't serve you. And with you avoiding situations, it's more like you got a lot of people mad. A lot of people are mad that you are this different. A lot of people mad that you are no longer want to associate. You have a lot of people mad that you are more focused on your stability, you are more focused on your material wealth, you are more focused on your growth. You have a lot of people feeling mad that you are writing correct, covering your errors, you are rebuilding yourself. You have a lot of people mad that you are more like focused on yourself. These are people who are watching you watching you being seen. These are people who are watching you being celebrated and recognized. These are people who are more like seeing that you are bringing in balance into your situation. These are people who are watching you blending in the old and the new. These are people who are watching you moderating situations for yourself. These are people who are watching you being patient with yourself. I feel these are people whom you've closed cycles with. These are people whom you've left behind. You no longer resonate with these people, but hey, they are watching you. I feel these may be people whom you may have tried to please, and then you got to learn, no, I have to stop people pleasing. I have to start looking at myself. These are people who may have taught you to stop repeating the cycle. I feel these are people who are more like abusing your kindness. These are people who are taking your kindness for weakness. Yeah, right now they are watching you being fulfilled and happy with yourself. Look at them. They are feeling very much defeated because you are in this energy. These are people who didn't want you to be happy with your own self, with your own life. These are people who wanted you to make them happy, but then they didn't know how to make you happy. Yeah, that's where you got to realize that trying to please everyone doesn't work. It has a price, and the price is for you to be backstabbed. The price is for you to be backstabbed. Yeah, these are people who are very much heartbroken by the separation right now because they are seeing you and they are watching and seeing you doing it for yourself. These are people who are seeing you enjoying the freedom from them. You are enjoying the freedom from these people. I feel these are people from the past. Yeah, they are always unhappy with themselves. They want you to be unhappy with yourself. Yeah, these are people who didn't want you to be very enlightened. These are people who didn't want you to be on good terms with your family, with yourself, with your own spirit, with your own soul. These are people who wanted you to be always uncertain. These are people who always wanted you to be alone. Yeah, these are people who wanted you to be alone. Right now they are very much disturbed by the fact that you are more focused on your security, more focused on your stability. Yeah, these are people who are seeing you as the limitless being. Yeah, right now these people, they are watching you and they are seeing you as a limitless being. They view you as somebody who knows how to create opportunities for themselves. These are people who are viewing you as adventurous. Yeah, I feel these are people who are still having a lot to work on themselves. These are people who are still having a lot to work on themselves. Yeah, with them watching you being celebrated and being publicly recognized, they get to realize how much they have to work on themselves. These are people may have thought that they were ahead of you, but then now, right now they are more like realizing they have a lot of work to do. They are way too misaligned. Yeah, these are people who are watching you from far, bringing in balance into your situation. These are people who are watching you having faith. These are people who are watching you blending in the old and the new. These are people who are watching you more like having faith. They just can't help it. They are watching you, they're admiring the protection that's over your life right now. These are people who are more like they couldn't believe that you can be this rooted. These are people who can't believe that you are so working on your wish fulfillment right now. You are this rooted, you are this grounded. These are people who weren't expecting for you to have something to work on. Yeah, right now I feel like these are people who see you are not chasing anything. You are actually going after what's yours, what belongs to you. It's more like you are being strategic on it. Whatever it is that you are going after, you are being strategic because you know it's your birthright. It belongs to you. It's yours. And these are people are feeling very much empowered and uplifted by you. These are people who weren't expecting for you to be this empowering, to be this to be this shining. They weren't expecting for you to be this patient with yourself. These are people who weren't expecting for you to be at peace. Yeah, these are people who weren't expecting for you to be at peace. Yeah, let's see some more on these people. Yeah, these are people who are more like they didn't want you to be complete. They actually enjoyed coming in and out of your life as they please. Like right now it's more like you put on boundaries. The party is finished, the party is over. They can't disrespect you as they would love to. They can't penetrate you or come in as they want to. Yeah, these are people who sees you are now more like maintaining your order and peace. They weren't expecting this from you. They were expecting to come in and out as they please. Yeah, right now these are people are seeing that you are an alchemical force. Them, they are struggling to find themselves. They are watching you being an alchemist. These are people who sees you turn pain into favor. You avoid repeating the same mistakes, unlike them. These are people who sees you turn pain into your favor. You avoid repeating the same mistakes, unlike them. To them it's always tea time. To them it's always tea time. Yeah, instead of reflecting or looking into themselves, they'd rather go out and talk, 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 talk. I don't know how would they find help from elsewhere if they cannot find help from God. But then anyway, these are people whom are being hopeful through your situation. I feel you are giving these people hope. Yeah, these are people who sees how much you've persevered. You've persevered through circumstances, through crisis, through trials and tribulations. You've persevered and you've made it through. Yeah, these are people who want to tempt you. They want to tempt you right now. These are people who are like deceptive. They were so deceptive when it comes to you. Yeah, right now they see you are very much in union with your higher self. They may be tempted to want to come in, test you one more time, but then they see that you've transcended, you've ascended. You are very much in union with your own self, with your higher self. Yeah, these are people who are very much having memories of you, and they realize how much they didn't appreciate you. Yeah, these are people who realize how much they didn't appreciate you, and they actually wanted to control things. These are people who were like one playing scare tactics with you, manipulative. Yeah, these are people who didn't respect you. Yeah, right now they are watching you going through a renewal and being ancestrally guided. These are people who are more like respecting your alchemy, because they see how much they like it. Yeah, let's see some more on the next messages.